Ogatina bandwana bako
Sikoketina bandwana bako
Ogatina
sela seki
Ogatina
Sikoketina
bandwana bako
Sikoketina sela seki
Put us together We are your children Put us together
in city of Cape
Put us together We are your children Put us together
in city of Cape
Inchabazi
Udlala
Skobetina
sela seki
Abani Ezonatina
Sikoketina sela seki
Inchabazi Udlala
Sikoketina sela seki
Put us together We are your children Put us together
in city of Cape Town.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Senchani bageti sizenibo. Senchani zinsiva sizenibo. Do what you like, I will do. Do what you like, I will do.
Hello and greetings everybody, and welcome to another edition of Jamie's Journeys. And today we are coming to you from beautiful Cape Town, South Africa. A wonderful Table Mountain in the back on just a gorgeous day, and of all the places in the world to sail into, I like to call this as one of my top 10 most special places, and it truly is special indeed. What a sight. Well, we're now actually just 7 miles across Table Bay on what is called Robbin Island. Robbin Island was actually named by the Dutch, who first settled here in 1652, and the name Robben means seal, as there were a lot of seals at the time when they arrived. Since people first started to inhabit it, it's been used really for the, let's just say, the unwanted. Originally used as a leper colony, later for the mentally insane, then later as a common law prison, and then most famously known as a political prison where it housed Mr. Nelson Mandela. He spent 25 years on this island, and we're going to take you around and show you some of the sights of this historic place, a place which is now designated as a World Heritage Site. So come along, enjoy the sights of Robbin Island on another Jamie's Journey. Coming up now is the quarry where Mr. Mandela was to do 6.5 months hard labor, cutting the limestone to pave the roads. Instead, he spent 13.5 years there. The cave, you see, was a latrine and was the university where he taught inmates to read and write on the dirt floor. And it was also his Congress where he planned with the inmates for the future. The rock pile was laid by his friends on his first visit back to the island as a free man.
Kalabanimbo, 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 Kalawumambe, Kalabanimbo, Kalano Babeka, Kalaum Kuleka, Kalano Kobeka, Okala utajewe, okala nomfowethu, okala nezinga, nemasibu yezwe, sithi ah,
Kalawanimbo,
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 sit ah,
Kalawanimbo,
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 sit ah,
Kalawanimbo,
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 Kalawanimbo.
Well, over the years, a lot of ships have wrecked just off this island. In fact, in the late 1600s, there was a Dutch ship bringing gold coins to pay people from the Dutch East Indies Company in Jakarta. And it wrecked off here, leaving millions, tens of millions of dollars in coins that are still in the sea today. Only a few actually have washed up. Behind me is Minto Hill. It's the highest point on the island. And originally in the 1600s, they used to light bonfires every night to help the ships see that this island was here, because it's just a few meters above sea level. And then this lighthouse was built in 1864, and it's said that you can see 24 miles. You can see the light in the distance.
kalawanimbo, 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 kala. Akukhanye bafana
Kube mhlophe, Bafana baseKepta.
asimbonanga
Asimbona, umfowethu thina,
thina
laphela khona,
laphina
nalahleli khona.
Besides Mr. Mandela, the most famous prisoner of the island was Robert Sobukwe. Sobukwe formed the Pan-Africanist Congress, or the PAC, where he was elected as its first president. He became known as the Professor due to his education and powerful speaking abilities. On March 21st, 1960, he, along with the PAC, led a nationwide peaceful protest against the hated pass law, which required black people to carry a passbook at all times. He led the march to the local police station in Soweto and was later arrested on charges of incitement. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison. After serving his sentence, however, he was interned on Robbin Island for many years. He was kept in solitary confinement and only permitted to be visited by his family once a year. He was released in 1969, but still lived under house arrest until the day of his death. Well, as you go around Robbin Island, you can encounter gentlemen who were at one time prisoners here on the island, and our driver today is a gentleman named Michael who's agreed to spend a couple minutes. Michael, pleasure, honor to meet you, sir. Yeah. Would you tell me something about yourself? How long were you brought to the island?
No, it was a very short time.
Yeah.
During the children uprising in 1976.
Yeah. So you were being accused of taking part in it?
No, the government forced the students to study in Afrikaans.
Yeah.
So we said, how can we study in Afrikaans, because the language you don't even understand.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to write the exams? So we were gassed, beaten. We were brought here in large numbers in Robbin Island.
Yeah. So how old were you at the time?
In 1976, I was 22.
22. And you said you spent 8 months here?
Yeah.
Well, on the island there's a minimum security prison, and there was a maximum security prison. The minimum security prison houses the rapists and robbers. The maximum security prison housed Nelson Mandela. He was a political prisoner. He was considered more dangerous than all the rest. We're going to go inside and see the maximum security prison, see the cell where Mandela lived, which was smaller than the dog kennels they had on the island.
They spent 18 years sleeping on the floor, using only these 2 mats as their mattresses and 4 blankets. The prison card of billionaire, his prison number was 69/64. 69. It is the number of prisoners, 64 the year when he arrived in this prison. When he was given this number, on this date, on the 28/02/1964, on this day, he was the 69th prisoner to arrive in this prison. The prison number of Nelson Mandela was 466/64. My prison number 58/86. Every year, on the 1st of January, the numbers will start afresh from 1. Only the years of arrival, that was different, because they have to monitor how many people they've accommodated on that particular year. The prison card was not big as this one. It was just a small booklet so that you can keep it in your pocket wherever you move. If it happens that you meet a prison warden and then he asks your prison card, you have to take it out. If you are not in a position of your prison card, you are officially charged because you are regarded as if you are defying or disobeying the prison rules.
Sigelela China
lusapho lwayo.
Hoza moya,
Woza moya, woza.
hoza moya,
Woza moya, woza. Woza moya, oyi,
Winwele,
All the Swapo people from Namibia were not in the leadership. This was the section of the Namibians. The first SA group to occupy this section after the Namibians, it was my group that it came through 1986. Let's go.
we're moving, we're moving, we're moving, we're moving, we're moving, we're moving.
Aunansi Bobema,
Ladies and gentlemen, this is A section. Now you'll be going inside the cells where you'll be reading our short cell stories.
no more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more. The boat is moving like a snake. 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 The world is turning like a ball. The world is turning like a ball.
This section, it is called the B section, where Nelson Mandela and the other political leaders were kept, and where they spent 18 years sleeping on the floor, on the 2 mats and 4 blankets. Nelson Mandela, with his co-accused, the late Walter Sisulu. These 2 pictures were taken by the British newspapers 1966. They wanted to see whether Mandela was still alive or not. When they took these pictures, they were sitting there. On the second one, they were chopping stones in this courtyard. The 2 sections that you see on the 2 pictures, it is A section, where you were reading the cell stories, and the C section. These 2 pictures were taken before these walls were built in 1978. The third one are former political prisoners, which we call them the reference group. Every month, we're inviting former political prisoners to come and visit this island. We're collecting the information for the long-term process. On the far right, with the green jacket, and Imba Toivo ya Toivo from Namibia. This picture was taken 1995 in our first reunion after the last release of 1991. Down there the corner, it was the garden of Mr. Nelson Mandela when he was transferred to Portsmouth Prison on the 31st of March 1982 with the late Walter Sisulu, Ahmad Kadrada, and Rumlangin and the late Raymond Mhlaba, the late Elias Mutsualeti and the late Gavin Beg took over and take care of Mr. Mandela's garden. And again in 88, Mr. Mandela, from Portsmouth to Victor Verster, where he was released in 1990 on the 11th of Feb. And now I'm going to take you to the cell of Mr. Nelson Mandela, where he spent 18 years sleeping on the floor, on the 2 mats and the 4 blankets. The importance of that cell, when he was requested by his co-accused 1974 that he have to write his own autobiography, the book, Long Walk to Freedom, he wrote that book in his cell. He used it to bury the manuscript of that book in his garden. Some of the manuscripts were discovered by the prison warders when they were building the foundation of these walls. Nelson Mandela studies were suspended for 4 years. The person who assisted Nelson Mandela to smuggle out the manuscript, it was Mac Maharaj. What is not appearing on top of the cells are the numbers, but the cell of Mr. Nelson Mandela, it is cell number 7. It's going to be the 4th one on the right-hand side. It's 1, 3, 5, 7, the 4th window.
No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness.
No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more
happiness.
No more
happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness. No more happiness.
The political prisoners left Robbin Island in 1991. The last common law prisoners left in 1996. Nelson Mandela said, "Only through hardship, sacrifice, and militant action can freedom be won. The struggle is my life. I will continue fighting for freedom until the end of my days." Well, we've now returned back to Cape Town from Robbin Island, and our fast ferry is now on its way back to the island. It takes only about 20 minutes to get from here to there, and once you go to the island, you spend about 2 hours before you return. Now, just a couple of parting thoughts about the island with regards to animals. When the Dutch first got there in 1652, that's right, there were no large animals on the island. There were seals, there were penguins, and there were an assortment of birds. The penguins the population was decimated by 1800s. By starting 1983, another penguin colony has settled there, and now they say there's about 15,000 penguins settled around that island. We didn't get the chance to see any of those, unfortunately. And when the Dutch were there too, they released rabbits because they could contain them, they could farm them, and they figured they could sell them to passing ships as meat when they came by Robbin Island. Now they say there's several 100,000 of the rabbits on the island this day, and they're now even hunted. You know what they say about rabbits. However, we didn't see any of those either. Now, the reason I say that is we really enjoyed our tour. It was a very structured tour. We couldn't really wander far. Most of the time was on the bus or in the different cell blocks or things they wanted you to see. And that was really just fine. Now, for guests who might prefer a little more freedom on their tour, you can actually book a private tour on the island. Now you do have to do that in advance, and if you wanted to spend more than 2 hours on the island, you do have to pay for more time for your guide, and you have to reserve passage on a ferry, not just the one you went on, but you have to reserve one on the next ferry or however long you wanted to stay. So you actually pay for 2 round trips to get back here to Cape Town, and for some people, you might find that worth it. Anyway, it was a great visit to Robbin Island, and hopefully you enjoyed our little segment and gave you a little bit of the history and what you can see there. It's a place that I definitely recommend you go see should you have the chance. Anyway, that's all we have today for Jamie's Journey. Thank you for coming, and I hope you come travel with me again.
Show